Okay. I think it's about time to start. So welcome everyone. Can people hear me? Just to double check. Thanks. Can people see the screen? Can people see the screen? I have a slide. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so welcome. It's very exciting to have everyone here to have this first tutorial on neurosymbolic visual reasoning and program synthesis. And it's also kind of a special time because CVPR is entirely virtual, including our tutorial. So although it brings the pity that we cannot really talk to each other face by face, I think also brings the advantage that people who may not be able to travel will also be able to attend. So I hope this will be a chance for us to share ideas, to listen to all the people who have already done work in this area, to present what they have been doing, to show different perspectives. But hopefully after this tutorial, we can also maybe informally or formally have some discussions on how to really make this emerging field to move forward. Okay, so just give a little bit background, right? Why we are having this neurosymbolic visual reasoning and program synthesis tutorial at this time. In the past years, we have seen amazing progress of all neural approaches, right? There's AlphaGo and there is all the examples on how using deep networks can be useful for visual understanding and language understanding. Especially recently, we've also seen like GPT-3, like learning from data seems to be just extremely powerful. And given this is CVPR, let me show example on visual reasoning or visual scene understanding, where you can see on this autonomous driving scene, right, the neural networks are able to segment the objects and detect or infer their semantic categories pretty accurately at a pixel level even. And this is even back also at real time. You can see this like 30 frames per second. And this is even back in results back in 2018, if I understand correctly. So these methods seem to be just doing extremely well in cases where you have a lot of data, where also you have high quality annotations. So I guess the question is, are these purely neural approaches enough? But on the other side, sometimes I also feel pretty strongly that the symbols and programs do play a role in our understanding of especially visual data. For example, we've seen results on programs, how they can be used to explain line drawings or images and to use it for extrapolation, for analogy making, or how they can be useful for understanding shapes. And beyond just like entry level, the programs, and we also see the use of hierarchy, how they can be useful for generating 3D structures, visual data, and the use of notions such as symmetry for understanding the 3D structure or inferring the 3D structure from 2D images. Or, especially when they connect to language, right? Language itself is like, in some sense, right, the use of words are symbolic by nature. So people have been designing like program-like questions and to test whether visual reasoning models really understand vision and understand language. So the goal of this workshop is to introduce recent neurosymbolic methods that seem to be bring together the advantages of both types of approaches, right? On one side is the recognition power of neural nets on visual data and language, right? How they can be exploiting the data to really distill knowledge from there, as well as the ability to generalize, right? Learning from very few examples, I can get programs, I can get symbols, I can use it to extrapolate, to do combinatorial generalization from very few examples. So how to really design methods that bring them together. But hopefully we can also have some discussion, maybe after this tutorial, or even informally, or have a second follow-up meeting sometime later to discuss and debate about these fundamental questions. That is, what's really the role of symbols and programs, right? So some people say, okay, maybe we should really put them in. But some people, as well, probably hear just right after this, is maybe they can be mostly learn from data and they can emerge by themselves. Is it really necessary for us to have symbols into learning systems? And, across all this entire spectrum of different approaches, what's really the best methodology to put them together? So hopefully this can be like this tutorial can be at the beginning of or inspire a much deeper and longer discussion that could be like the follow-up. So we have an exciting line of speakers, which will present us, as we just said, a whole different spectrum of more neural methods to more symbolic methods, and how they can be useful for visual reasoning, for understanding language, for city shape modeling, and for also for better program synthesis techniques themselves, and for navigation as well. And among all, we have a number of organizers, but also I would like to at this time in particular thank the effort of Jiajun Mao, who has really been the leading organizer and contacting speakers and coordinating everything to make this tutorial happen. So thank you, Jiajun.